you, Tony.
A pleasure to have you here with me. And of course, like I said, there's been a lot going on. The World Cup largely at the center of it. But today we have a very, very full package for you out there. The World Cup is on the menu. SW19 away building is even on the menu because of course this is a sports show.
Yeah.
It's just quite unfortunate that football takes up a lot of the the attention. And then of course also the largely forgotten world of club football. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't even remember there's something called club football going on somewhere. But trust me, there is a lot going on at your various clubs all over the world. And we have one single job right here, which is to bring you up to speed with a lot. And Mr. Jude, we get running right away. The last 32 fixtures, as we saw them play by, we just take a bit of a review of the tournaments so far. And of course, we start off with the last 32 game, which was between South Africa and Canada. Canada running out 1-0 winners. And pretty much the last meaningful kick of that game with Stephen Eustachio winning. And for South Africa, their first voyage into the knockout rounds of the World Cup ended quite cruelly under such circumstances. What do you make of that game, Jim?
Yeah, I think the South Africans started the game with some level of respect for Canada, especially because, of course, they're one of the host nations.
Yeah.
And if they had played with the gusto they did in their last match, their last group match, where they qualified into the round of 32, maybe they would have been able to beat the Canadians. Well, by the time they got their acts together, it was just too late because by then the Canadians had become very, very dominant and domineering. And so quite unlucky for the South Africans, even though some of us are very happy that they're back home, But the truth must be said, I expected them to, they should have beaten Canada. That's the truth of the matter. Football-wise, Canada, they're not on the same standing with South Africa.
Of course.
Yeah, but I think what Jesse Marsh has done for Canada is very impressive. This is the first time since started going to the World Cup that they're scoring goals.
Yeah.
Don't forget that the first time they scored a goal was the second match they played at the World Cup here. And now the last 2 or 3 matches they scored goals. So yeah, you've seen
also recorded their first ever World Cup win.
Yeah, first ever. And so 2 wins now. 2 wins. And you talk about a team that has evolved. Maybe because they are one of the host nations, so they have to put in everything. Against South Africa, I thought the South Africans, having come through that difficult group, losing to Mexico and, of course, finally getting the win and advancing, they should have been able to stop the Canadians, but they didn't put the acts together. I don't know why. I'm trying to remember one of the players who came in late. I thought he should have started, but unfortunately, they're out. Yes, we are happy they're out, but Africa just lost one of those opportunities.
We will talk about the African nightmare of the round of 32. We will talk about that, but for now, let's just take the games as they go by. And then, of course, the second game, perhaps the most exciting round of 32 game in the eyes of a lot. And I felt this game came a bit too early for the two teams involved. Brazil 2, Japan 1. What do you make of that game?
Yeah, the Japanese came out, they scored first. A lot of people
started off very strongly.
Yeah, they did. And not to forget that the Japanese were their quick side, and they used that to their advantage against the Brazilians, who are rather a little bit slow. But when you have a coach like Carlo Ancelotti as your coach or your manager or technical advisor, you're sure that he will dig into his wealth of experience, and he did that. He brought in Hendrick because he needed somebody to run at the Japanese defense. Vinicius was doing his own bit, but then he needed another person to do that. And of course, that's how the 2 goals came up. And for the Brazilians, good one for them. The only team to have played in every World Cup edition. And Japanese actually gave them a scare. I must say that they actually gave them a scare. But I'm happy that they survived and they're still in the game. And I hope after that experience against Japan, they'll raise their game because if they keep playing the way they played against Japan and the other teams, I don't see them going that far. They have to raise the game. They have to raise it above where they are.
That's what a lot of people are saying about Brazil not being fanciful. I mean, when you talk about Brazil, there's just one image that comes to your head. It is them dominating, knocking the ball around, showing fantastic skills. But this is not...
They will not see something like that.
Yeah, no, this is not that type of Brazil team.
Maybe because of Carlo Ancelotti, who's bringing the Italian mentality, mixing with the Brazilian.
But let's not also forget, on an individual level, these Brazilian players are not at the same level with the likes of Garincha and Pele and the likes of those people,
No,
Ronaldinho.
definitely,
They are
definitely not.
So he's probably working with what he has.
Yes.
And what he has is a lot of. I will be honest. I've said this thing before. A lot of those Brazilian players are not Brazil-like. A lot of them play most of their football in Europe.
Yeah.
They have that Europe. I mean, look at Bruno Guimaraes, for instance, played most of his career in Europe. The likes of Vinicius Junior moved to Real Madrid at the age of 17, 18. So he's basically developed his game around the Europe. I mean, this brought the throwback to, remember Kaká, when a lot of people say Kaká is the least Brazilian.
Yeah.
Because he played basically like a European.
Yeah.
He had a lot of
Most
power,
of
a
them
lot of
innately,
pace.
yeah.
Yes. So there are a lot of these players clustered around this Brazil team, and it's showing because they're playing non-Brazilian football. But perhaps it's going to work in their favor because Carlo Ancelotti was asked even during this tournament whether or not there is any problem with the fact that they are not playing to a certain style, and he said no, that he's happy that nobody can actually figure his team out because there's no pattern of play.
Yeah.
There's no system. That when you see the Germans, definitely they want to press from the start. They want to run for 90 minutes. Japan want to run for 90 minutes. But you can't actually pinpoint a particular way that, that Brazil plays. That works in the advantage.
That's why I said the playing is a mixture of the samba and the catenaccio.
Yeah.
The Italian catenaccio, the Brazilian samba is a
Defensive
mixture.
solidity
It's a fusion.
Yeah.
And when you have a team playing like that, it's quite unfortunate that he's not been there for like 2-3 years. So maybe his philosophies has not been really understood by the players. But my biggest problem with that team is the attacking formation. In England, for example, you have João Pedro of Chelsea.
Yeah.
I thought he should have been in that team.
A lot of people thought so too.
And I'm surprised that, a Brazilian side we used to know must have a point man, a dangerous point man. We do not have that. Even Igor Jesus, he hardly plays.
Thiago.
Yeah, Igor Thiago, he hardly plays. Most times he comes from the bench. So I think, well, he's the coach, he's the manager, but I think you need a point man, a man who can finish, whether he's running around or not, but you need a finisher, which is what Brazil needs at this moment. They play well, they defend well, they attack well, but then finishing is, how many goals have they scored? In the past, against Japan, they should have scored about 3 or 4 goals. Yeah. But because they didn't have the point man that they needed, until Henry came on, the attack was a little bit blunt. Yeah. Until Henry came on and started running at the defenders. Space coming out. And of course, he's playing the traditional 4-4-2, which is a big problem for Brazil too, because some will say it's outdated, but it's also not giving Vinicius that space, because sometimes he's paired as a striker. I think he should be given that space for playing from the flanks, more from the flanks than playing as a point man.
Okay. Well, perhaps that's what Hendrick is in that team.
Yeah.
Because Hendrick is more of a number 9.
Yeah.
He will ruffle the defenders, and when the chance comes around, he will most of the time tuck them away. But we'll see how that goes for Ancelotti and his Brazil team. For Japan, unfortunately, their vision to win the World Cup. I mean, I said it here last week. This game is a bit too early. I was here with Chris.
Too early, yeah.
Because you expect Brazil to meet somebody like, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but somebody like Australia. So that we'll see the bigger teams clashing towards the end of the tournament. Yeah, round of 16, last 8 semi-finals, and even in the final. But for Japan, unfortunately, they have to go home now. And then, of course, one of the biggest shocks so far of the tournament, Paraguay knocking Germany out. Yeah. They played a 1-1 draw in regular time and even in extra time, and then Paraguay won by 4 penalties to 3 on penalties. What do you make of that? I mean, it's been a cataclysmic disappointment for Germany, for German football, and a lot of heads who has rolled so far. And
the good thing is Julian Nagelsmann has been told to step down, and for me, I think the Germans became too confident against the Paraguayans, and after conceding that goal, the Paraguayans knew that, if we don't defend well, the Germans will punish us. Yeah. Germans equalized, and that was it. They just needed to defend for over 70 minutes or something about. But the thing is, I keep talking about the German mentality. I told you earlier sometimes about that they came into this tournament with so much anger because the last 2 editions, they struggled in the last 2 editions and all that. Well, I expected them to have come in with a top 9. You see a German national team with Kai Havertz
As the number
as the
9.
number 9. For crying out loud, Kai Havertz is not a natural number 9.
Inverted winger
You
or
kept
false 9 at
you
most.
kept Nick Voltemeda on the bench. Nick is younger.
No, but he's not been in a good run of
No,
form.
no, no, but come on.
For
Let me-
Newcastle
let-
United, you
no,
struggled a
no,
lot.
it's not about. See, let me tell you, club football is different from national team football.
Yeah, of course.
You remember 2002 World Cup?
Yeah.
Ronaldo de Lima hardly played in that season.
Yeah. Injuries and all of
You
that
understand? Even before the World Cup, he had played barely about 2 months or thereabout. He was still recovering.
Yeah.
He got to the World Cup, he became the highest goal scorer.
Yeah.
Why?
Scoring in every
Because
round.
he is a natural number 9. Nick Voltemeda, yeah, he might have issues at Newcastle United, but then you needed a finisher who could run at the defenders. You didn't have that. Kai Havertz, I'm sorry to say, but for me, he's too weak as a top 9. Funny enough, he's not even a top 9.
Yeah.
He's a false 9, so to speak.
An attacking
He's
midfielder.
just like Muller, but Muller is a better finisher than Kai Havertz.
Muller is a lot.
You understand?
He's a
So-
very ruthless player.
So, for me, Nagelsmann, from the onset, made a very big blunder by playing Kai Havertz. Even when, he scored goals, I understand, but
3
then
goals.
you needed somebody who could cause problem in front of goal.
Just by
You
their
give
mere presence.
beautiful. You give other players opportunity to score. That is what you need. You must not. Come on. The fact that you're number 9 does not mean you must score. Haaland, okay, he's always there, causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Even when he does not score, people are scoring. But he got goals.
Achieving from his
But
presence.
you need him there, and that's what we're talking about. Germany didn't have that, and when they knew that, if we can hold this guy cannot operate, and that's what they did, and they stopped Germany from scoring.
Well, for Paraguay and the coach Alfaro,
Yeah.
Gustavo Alfaro, started off very, very, very disappointingly. Lost 4-0 to the United States of America, 4-1.
The 4-1.
But since then, they've just found ways to grip themselves, hold themselves together, squeeze out results when they have to. And I mean, this is the climax of the tournament because I think eventually France will knock them out in the next round. But
That is all the thing.
that's what I think will happen. But if it doesn't happen, it will be the biggest.
Football is crazy.
It
I
will
keep
be the
saying
biggest
that.
shock of the world if it doesn't happen. But it's what I expect to happen. But even at that, they will leave the tournament with their heads held high because they've
Definitely.
done something better than. I mean, the last time they were at the World Cup was 16 years ago, in 2010, and this one they've made sure they made up for lost time. And then of course the Netherlands won, Morocco won. Morocco winning by 3 penalties to 2. Africa, they became the first African at that point to qualify in this tournament to the last 16. I mean, I don't want to say what you mean, just how proud, because I know, just how proud are you of what Morocco have achieved so far?
Tony, firstly, now I have two feelings here. I did tell you that I love the Dutch side.
Yeah,
I'm
of
a supporter.
course,
I'm a
of
big
course.
supporter of the Dutch side.
Yeah.
So it's on one hand rather, it's painful that the Dutch are out. On the other hand, I'm excited that an African team is still represent the continent. Now, why do I say so? Now, the Dutch side, we used to know they have the ball possession for 90 minutes. They may not win sometimes, but when you check your ball possession, the Dutch always come out tops. But in this game, they were listless. They couldn't even hold on to the ball for 5 minutes. Do you know, Morocco held the ball for more than 60 minutes in that match.
Yeah, Morocco were the most dominant team in the extra
Now,
time.
that tells you
Yeah.
how far down the Dutch team they've gone. Now, you're going to the World Cup. I keep talking about a finisher.
Yeah.
Come on. You need, yes, Brobby is fine. He's a fine player, but hey, come on. You need people. It's quite unfortunate that Xavi Simon didn't go to this World Cup. I wanted him to be there, but then he got injury and the boy cried. I really pity him.
You felt for him.
And then they needed someone like Xavi Simon in that team who could make crazy runs across the pitch to cause problems for the opponents. But then they didn't have that. And all of a sudden they went to sleep. And they felt okay. We played in Africa and they scored the goal. And they felt we're good. Come on, not against the Moroccan side. Maybe they had played against Tunisia or maybe against Algeria. Yeah, they could have done that, but not against the Moroccan side. That is very, very focused. The Moroccans are still angry about what happened at the World Cup, the African competitions. Don't forget that. So they're coming with so much anger. They're coming with so much, and they're a tactical side. You understand? You know, the coach Mohamed Ouabi, he was also with the under-20 team.
Yeah.
He won the under-20 World Cup, and He was drafted in because losing in the final, the Moroccan Football Federation felt, we didn't
Walid
need.
Regragui had
Yeah,
to go, yeah.
Wally had to go, so they had to bring him in. Barely 3 months to the World Cup, and look at what he's done with the team. We've seen a different Moroccan side playing beautiful football. Do you know what it means to dominate the Dutch for 60 minutes? It's not easy. Even Germany, Brazil cannot even do that. But they did that.
Yeah.
And
they were
quality.
very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable. Very comfortable.
You know, sometimes you watch
the whole
games,
of the extra time. The Dutch didn't
Dutch
play
had
football.
less than 20% of possession.
Yeah.
For extra time.
Extra time, yeah.
That's 30. That's a 30 minutes. Spell.
30 minutes ball possession.
Wow.
Massive.
Wow, like you said, how deep the
they follow.
Dutch football has
they
fallen.
follow.
But
Yeah.
it is what it is. We'll also get to that because heads have also rolled with the Dutch national team.
Yeah.
And then of course, we'll just take a short break and we'll return. And by the time we return, ladies and gentlemen, 2 might just become 3. We'll see how that magic happens. Stay with us. This is Sports Track, and I'm Anthony Uche alongside Mr. Jude Abeke. I'll be with you shortly.
Amazon from Harrison. That is a massive world record. Martinelli goes, boys, out of his goal. Martinelli, this will be 3 for Arsenal.
Dott Entertainment, your weekly dose of pure fun, airing every Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., only on Dott TV.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
In the heart of Asaba, where the street tells the stories every single day.
From the corridors of powers to the decisions shaping governance and politics in Delta and Nigeria.
From traders counting every naira to families battling rising costs and uncertain times.
From football pitches to sporting successes to the major developments making the headlines all over the world.
And from the untold human stories, the struggles, victories, resilience, and hope of the everyday Nigerians.
This is the news beyond the headlines. Dott TV News are your trusted window to stories that truly matter to the people. Here, we don't just report events, we tell the human stories behind them.
Welcome back. For you watching out there, this is Sports Track. We've just gone on a short break, and I told you before that break that 2 might turn to 3. And surprise, surprise, we are 3 men in the studio now because Mr. Henry Oseayo has joined us. Mr. Henry, good morning and welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Mr. Jude is also here with me, and we've been going over the games played so far at the round of 32 at the ongoing FIFA World Cup. And the last game we talked about was the Netherlands versus Morocco, which, Mr. Jude expressed his disappointment as how low the levels have become with the Dutch national team. Mr. Henry, welcome, and I'll throw you right into the fire basically, because Ivory Coast, thought they had clawed it back to first extra time against Norway, but somehow managed to lose that game after considering the 86 minutes. What do you make of that game generally between Ivory Coast and Norway?
Yeah, it's a game that I saw that the tactical approach from Emerson Faye wasn't actually right, because for a game that you were almost at the verge of actually winning, and of course you just allow some tactical changes to actually disrupt it, is something I never expected for Emerson Faye. We actually know Emerson Faye took over during the the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, and nobody saw him. It was just like an interim job, but unfortunately he delivered. Fortunately enough, he delivered, and of course.
Well, fortunately for Nigeria, because they beat us in the final to deliver.
And of course, he retained the position and going to the biggest stage where he should have made his mark to let them know that I know the tactical approach. He actually goofed. And for the Ivorians, I think they are one of the team I would say that they actually did their best in the FIFA World Cup, but unfortunately, again, tactical approach from the coaches. Most of the coaches that went to the Nations Cup, it was majorly tactical approach that actually caused them the losses.
Mr. Jude, we saw that game. A certain Amad Diallo did not start. Remember, he was the saving grace for the opening game against Ecuador, scored in the 90th minute. And since then, he's been on and off. Nicolas Pepe has been preferred to him. And he came on against Norway and proved why he probably should have started against Norway. Yeah. Do you think, the substitution came a bit too late, although he equalized, but at the time he did, Norway had already established some sort of control over that game? In line with what Mr. Henry is saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think most of the African coaches at this tournament, they've faltered with their tactics. I keep talking about playing your best players, no matter what happens. Play your best players at any time. Now the reason is this: when your best players are on the field of play, you play better. But when you try to juggle them, you don't play football with sentiments. When you do that, you will lose. It's always there. The results will always speak for itself. But for me, Amad Diallo is a top player. He may not be the top 9, but then he comes in with a lot of running, creating spaces for us to score. And sometimes he scores goals. He did that against the Norwegians. And I saw that after that goal, Emerson Faye, who played as a defender, should have known what to do. But he left his team open. And you can imagine where Haaland was just there. He got the ball. There was nobody to even give him some level of disturbance. That's sad. And it is if you look at all the African teams that have been knocked out so far, it has been the same trajectory, the same thing. All of them losing at the tail end of all these matches. It's not good. It's not. It tells us that we have a lot to learn as African coaches.
In terms of game management.
Yes, game management. You have to learn.
See enough results.
Exactly. You can't be leading or you play the draw against a top team and all of a sudden you capitulate in the 89th minute, the 90th minute.
I mean, we'll talk about what a certain, the coach of Belgium, we'll talk about what Rudy Garcia said about Senegal and a lot of African teams. We'll talk about that when we get to them because he leans to what you were just saying. But then, of course, the next game was between France and Sweden. France making light work of Sweden, basically 3 goals, 3-0, qualify very comfortably, basically. They were never troubled.
You know, France, I call them the United States of Africa. Because I think they came into Africa, selected some of the best players in Africa and put them together as a team in France. The only true French player in the starting lineup is Adrien Rabiot. From the goalkeeper...
Lucadine is French as well.
Yeah, what I'm saying... Yeah, these guys are basically, even Dinya I think he was born in Canada or something. I can't get, but then you understand. Yeah. You know, I'm talking about French born,
French raised.
That's French raised. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. And these guys, the African blood is helping them. Olise, for example, is African. Mbappe is both Cameroon and Nigeria. You understand? So these guys, they're coming from somewhere, and that has helped France. I think Didier Deschamps has done a beautiful job. He's been there for years and he's been able to understand, remove this, you add this, remove this, you add this. That's why you see France playing the way they're playing today. They lost in the last edition. In the last 2 editions, they played in the final. Yeah. You understand? They won one, they lost one. And I wouldn't be surprised if they win this one. Why? Because they've learned their lessons. When France is not playing well, you see what he does. He removes one player, he puts another one, and the game continues. And the verve comes back. But hey, this team, I didn't expect Sweden to even hold it because they should have gotten about 6 goals again.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, but they're a little bit conservative, having scored 3 goals. What's the sense of trying to score more goals when you have other bigger games to play? So
just rest the legs and then prepare for the game ahead. Yeah. Yes, of course. And then Mr. Henry, Mexico beats Ecuador by 2-0 to book their place as one of the home teams, and they've also had a 100% record. They've won
the only team.
They've won all their games. No, Spain is just that Spain haven't conceded. Yes, that's
Spain drew. Spain drew, but Mexico
100% won all the matches. I mean, yes, the Azteca and the home advantage and all of that play, but you still have to do the talking on the field. And, Javier Aguirre and his men have done that.
We never expected the L3 to come thus far, and of course, having seen what has been happening politically in Mexico, even close to the World Cup, we saw protests here and there, and of course, that could have actually made damped their spirit. But every game, the Mexicans keep building up, and of course, we saw what Ave is actually doing with the team. And to me, I see them as a potential team that could get to the quarterfinal. Already, because we are in the round of 16. Yeah. So I see them getting to the quarterfinal because they are playing.
They beat England?
Yeah, of course. And when you look at the game between the English side, the last game against DR Congo, rather, you find out that despite the big names in the 3 Lions, they've not been able to play together as a team. Rather, we have more of this individual brilliance coming into play, and that is why the DR Congo made it so difficult for them to actually play their own game. And at the end, we saw how Hurricane was able to try and pull up something. Yeah, same thing, losing focus. At the end. So to me, I see the Mexican side actually being a formidable force, and they are going to give England a run for their money. And of course, the home side is with them, and being a co-host is going to give them more of that momentum to actually go and do the killer. Fine game from them, not conceding so far. It shows you how compacted they are, defending together, and of course attacking together.
Of course, attacking together, and then of course we'll move to the other game between Belgium and Senegal, because we just touched on England. Why are you laughing now? Allow me land. Let me finish. Belgium, Senegal took a 2-0 lead. In fact, as late as the 86th minute of the game, they looked well on their way to the last 16. Mr. Jude, what happened? Do you have any idea?
That's why I laughed. I actually wept for the Senegalese side. Now, 4 minutes to the end of the team of the match. Let's 10 minutes at the other time and all that. You are leading by 2 goals to nothing, and you went to sleep. Why? You're beating a Belgian side that has quality players. 2-0. And you considered the first one. A wise coach would have shut down the team, shut down the defense. You just hit the ball. Just, in Warri parlance, anywhere below face. Just hit the ball anywhere, as long as it does not cross your 18-yard box. That is what I expected from the Senegalese team. But I think, instead of you defending, you are bringing another striker to come and do what, sir? You were leading comfortably. You needed to shut down the game. That's what we're talking about, management. Club management, team management. You needed to manage that scoreline. When they scored that first goal, he should have shot. But I think he had issues. And one of the players I said he would never play for.
And that's Happy Guy.
Yeah, he said I would never play for Senegal until the issues with the technical team is resolved. I will never play for because it's very painful. You're very close to
a target,
and all of a sudden you went to sleep. I think that's the worst match an African team has played at this World Cup. That was the worst match. Yes,
that was at Tunisia 5.
Tunisia from the onset. Tunisia from the onset, we knew. I was reading something recently that about 9 of the players tested positive to drug.
You
understand? But my own is not even that. The thing is, from the onset, we didn't expect anything from Tunisia.
Yeah.
If they had led and lost, okay. Now you're leading 5 minutes, let me say 10 minutes at the end of the match.
Yeah. That's including additional time.
And you lost, you consider 3 goals? Who does that?
The 86th and the 88th.
Who does that? Who does that? Come on.
The Belgian manager, Rudy Garcia, quite damningly has come out to say, even at that time, I mean, some people will say he's just saying this because he's won, but let me paint you this picture. Belgium are losing by 2 goals to 0. Time is running out. They need goals. Rudy Garcia takes out Kevin De Bruyne and Jeremy Doku.
That's a coach.
It's a game plan.
So
and he
said after the game,
Lukaku.
Yes, and he said after the game he knew people like these, that's including Senegal and a lot of the African nations, they lose tactical discipline towards the end of the game.
Exactly,
because
that's the truth.
The gods he had to say that.
But come on, is that not the fact?
I mean, he's proven it. He said it.
Is that not the fact? Now, Lukaku came in. For me, I don't see Lukaku as a dangerous striker. Not like he was back then.
Yeah.
He's lost a lot of.
I mean, last season he only played about 30 minutes.
You understand?
Of football because he was injured for most of it.
A smart coach, you should understand that Lukaku is coming with so much power. What you should do, you bring out a defender who is also powerful. And so, okay, this guy, make sure he does not even touch the ball.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you tell the defender. This man, make sure because he's going to use his power. Of course, an African, he's from Angola. He's going to use that against you guys. Yeah. But he didn't do that. Instead of bringing a defender in, you are bringing in a striker to come and do what, sir? I don't understand.
That is the tactical indiscipline.
Yes.
The tactical indiscipline the guys have there.
You're not talking about tactical indiscipline or indiscipline in general. The United States of America, they survived the scare against Bosnia and Herzegovina because their goal scorer, Folarin Balogun, was sent off as well.
Right,
and they managed to see out that game. In fact, scoring in the 86 minutes to seal off the victory and book their place in the next round. How far do you think they will go this time? Because they matched their farthest ever, the World Cup, which was a round of 16 in 2014. So do you think they will proceed beyond this stage under
This is
Bishop
also round of 16.
Henry?
This is also round of 16.
Yeah.
And for the United States of America that have Mauricio Pochettino as their head coach, bringing in this hard-pressing style of football he was known for with Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur. And of course, having some of the players, the likes of Christian Pulisic, who is also there, and of course, Folarin, so unfortunately that
he won't be
not
there
going to play. But I know definitely it's going to take a toll on the team, but he should be able to phantom a way out. For the United States of America, this is how far they've gone, and being our co-host is going to actually motivate them to go ahead. I see them actually as one of the formidable team in this competition, but I'll give them the quarterfinal stage because I have said that they might get beyond this the round of 16 and get to the quarterfinal.
Well, we'll look at their opponents for the round of 16 and knowing their opponents, I don't think you are far off the truth, but we'll talk about that when we get there. And then, of course, Spain obliterated Austria by 3-1. Mr. Jude, it could have been 5, it could have been 6, honestly, because Spain were so comfortable in that game. I mean, Lamine Yamal, honestly, played the best I've ever seen him play without scoring.
Yeah.
And that was largely down to Alexander Schlager, who made sure he didn't concede any further goals against Spain. What do you make of that game generally?
Yeah, the Spanish side, against Cape Verde, they didn't play a top 9. Yeah. I talked about that. Yeah. And it's like Vicente de la Fuente had me. His next matches, he started with Mikel Oyarzabal. And what you've seen the goals coming in. Yeah. You need a top 9. Yes, they could have scored more goals. Nico Williams, I know he's still recovering from an injury and all that. But if there was a Nico Williams in that game alongside Lamine Yamal, the goals would have been more.
Nightmare.
You understand? Yeah. But it's a good thing. The Spanish Armada, they're doing so well. I think they've woken up after that draw with the Cape Verde. And it shows that, if you have a top 9, but they still need another top 9. Because if anything happens to Mikel,
I think that's where Ferran Torres comes in.
Ferran Torres is not a top 9. Ferran Torres, we keep making the mistake. Yeah, he does that at Barcelona. But even at that, he plays as you call them number 8. So we say number 8, like a support striker. That's what he does. But he's not a real top 9. That's why you see him drifting into the midfield, coming back to come and score.
Even going to the flanks as well to get balls.
But Mikel Oyarzabal is always there, the point man. He's the point man.
Yeah.
Look at the 2 goals he scored. Beautiful goals. Beautiful goals.
Yeah. Lovely finishes.
Finishing. So you talk about all that, and of course you understand why you need a number 9 in that team.
Yeah. From Spain to the Iberian brothers in Portugal, because Portugal also scraped past Croatia. Let's just put it that way, because it was a very tough and very difficult game for them. But Martinez and his men surged past Croatia, and they also will meet the Iberian brothers in the last 16. Mr. Henry, what do you make of the game? Ronaldo scoring his first ever knockout goal. Gonzalo Ramos, of all people. I mean, at some point in that game, the coach, Martinez, took out the 3 midfielders who nobody probably would have thought he did. He took out he took out Fernandes Bruno, he took out Vitinha, he took out João Neves. And a lot of people at that point would not understand or believe what he did, but eventually you could say he paid off.
Yeah, when you have a player like Bruno Fernandes and Vitinha who actually have a stellar season with their club, you should expect them to bring in these passes. You should expect them to create more of the chances. But it was lacking in that game, and of course, the coach had to do the needful, because it's not just about the name; it is about the competition. It's about everybody playing, and of course, a lot of persons, even Mr. Jude, is in that school of thought that all Argentine play for Lionel Messi.
Yeah, of course. It's obvious.
and of course,
it's true. It's glaring.
But when it comes to Ronaldo playing, it seems as if he have to struggle for everything, including scoring the goal, no creativity coming from any players, and of course, giving him the ball. And that was what Martinez saw. And of course, he felt that, hey, if you guys can't create this thing for this guy, then I have to pull you out. And if you look at the game, immediately he brought both of them out. The game started flowing.
Of course, they considered a lot of chances. They could have been down by 2 or 3, but that was the risk he was willing to take.
Yes, that is football. You have to take the risk. You pull out these players because they are not giving you what you needed. And of course, he brought them, and of course, they delivered. And it means that he is not playing with big names. He just wanted beautiful football, and of course, he just wanted them to keep feeding the front line, and that was how it went. But for Portugal, it's going to be a repeat of the UEFA Nations League last year. And of course, you know what what happened between Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. Lamine Yamal trying to prove himself that he is the rave of the moment, and of course, Cristiano Ronaldo trying to prove that I am one of the greatest of all time. So it's going to be a cracker, and I actually see the La Roja talking about Spain winning this.
Oh, Mr. Jude, another African nightmare. Algeria got knocked out by Switzerland by 2-0. The most comfortable 2-0 you'll ever see, in my opinion, because it was 2-0, but we were talking about this yesterday, and we said it was just close to what they did against Qatar. Score early, dominate, and then, fail to take your chances. And then, but yesterday they were lucky. They eventually took those chances. Bril Embolo and Dan Andoya with the goals for Murat Yakin's men to advance to the next round.
Yeah, I watched the first 15 minutes of that match, and I knew the game was over for Algeria. You don't start a match, play defensive game. Algeria got the ball. That they have talented players. All of a sudden, they started passing backward, and I was like, what's wrong with these guys? You're in the World Cup for crying out loud. You need to get goals. If no balls going forward, come on, you don't do that. And when they considered the first goal, when Embolo scored that goal, and funny enough, that was the first real attacking move by the Swiss side. The first attacking move, and they scored that goal. And I knew the game was already over. I didn't even bother watching the match again until the 80th minute. I just let me just see what Algeria would do. But then it was already over. So Algeria actually disappointed me with the immense talent they have. They should have been able to at least force Switzerland, even not going to the extra time, at least into the penalties and even win. They could have won that game if they had played the way they're supposed to play, but then they fizzled out.
From the first day of the knockout rounds, the last 32. Till the last day, we eventually got yet another African team to qualify. We only have 2 left, and one of them came yesterday when Egypt defeated and knocked out Australia on penalties. Mr. Henry, generally, that game just rounded up a little bit for us.
Yeah. Talking about Cape Verde, Argentina, it's a game that we discussed about it. And of course, I told you that the Cape Verdean side, they came to let the world know that there is a little island in Africa that is emerging as one of the team to you cannot mess up with in football. We saw how they had to make the Argentine to sweat for it. A game where everybody thought that, this is going to be a walk in the park for Argentina, but it also, they made it difficult. And congratulations to Cape Verde. Congratulations to Vozinha, who is, I believe, is one of the breakout star of this tournament for Cape Verde. For our goalkeeper, 40 years, and of course, still have that reflex, and of course, eye on the ball is a really big one for them. This is going to make the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations a must-watch, because we're going to see a lot of teams stepping up.
Yeah, before then they have to qualify, but I don't put it beyond them. I think they'll definitely make it. In the last game as well of the last 32, let's not talk about it, man. Colombia dismantled Ghana. It says 1-0, but that game it could have been 3 or 4. Lawrence Atizigi for Ghana made 7 saves, which were crucial for them to at least live there respectfully, because Colombia dominated that game for most of it. And then, of course, we'll move ahead to look into the last 16 fixtures. Canada versus Morocco, really, really snappy. I mean, they're already telling me, we have to get out of the stadium.
For me, Tony, Morocco should win that game. No more talking about so much about it. The Canadians are not on the same level with the Moroccan side, except the Moroccan decide to go to sleep.
Okay, later today, Paraguay against France. What do you make of that, Mr. Henry?
The floors, yellow blue, are coming out with their array of stars.
So, Brazil, Norway. Is that the end of the road for Norway?
It should be. It should be, but then Brazil, for them to win, they must raise, like I said, they must raise that game. If they don't, I repeat again, if they don't, they'll be punished by Haaland.
Haaland and co. Of course, the game that every English person does not want to hear you talk about at the Azteca Stadium, 2,000 feet above sea level, at very, very high altitude, Mexico against England, Monday morning, 1 a.m. in the morning. Mr. Henry, what do you make of that?
I actually want the trade to actually send England packing, because I think they are becoming too noisy, because Thomas Tuchel all of a sudden is now proving too noisy. So, and to him, he have the tactical approach, but he's not having it. So, I'm giving it to the Mexican side.
Portugal, Spain, Iberian Derby.
Portugal, Spain. Well, the Portuguese team did not impress me this time. Like Henry said, they don't play for Ronaldo. Bruno Fernandes feels he's the superstar, and Ronaldo is. But then you need to win matches. Ronaldo is the point man, and of course you have to play for your point man.
Whoever the point man is,
great chances for him. You don't do that. And this guy is a proven finisher. Hey, he scored more goals than any other player in the history of football. So why don't you give him the balls? You let him struggle. He's not supposed to struggle. At his age, no. He shouldn't struggle. But he get to struggle for 90 minutes. It shouldn't happen. I think then one other player I do not want to see in that team. Pedro Neto has no business in that team.
I think he's driving Okada there.
Pedro Neto has no business, but he keeps playing. And I'm so surprised why Roberto Martinez keep playing that guy. What is he doing? play.
He's
Why
joining
would
Ocala.
Yao Felix be on the bench for Pedro Neto? Who is Pedro Neto?
Pedro Neto is
Come
Pedro
on.
Neto. Well, USA Belgium.
Roberto
Mr.
Martinez
Henry.
is I don't know. But then if they put their acts together, they should beat Spain.
Okay, Mr. Henry.
USA Belgium is going to be a tough game, but I see USA actually proving a point. And of course, looking at what Belgium have played so far in this tournament, I tell you, I'm not satisfied. They've been struggling, and of course, we saw that also against Senegal. So I give it to USA.
Argentina, Egypt. What would the Pharaohs do to Messi and I mean, one thing is certain.
Messi is
if they try what they did yesterday against Cape Verde, Egypt will knock them out. That's very certain.
Yeah, Messi is to Argentina what Mohamed Salah is to Egypt.
Yeah, of course.
Anything can happen.
Anything could happen. I mean, where you have two magic men
It's a 50-50
going up against one another. Mr. Henry, finally, Switzerland against Colombia. What do you think will happen?
Switzerland against Colombia. If the Swiss continue their fine form of game, I see them emerging victorious because the Colombia side, if you look at their game, they are not that clinical, and so I'm giving it to the Swiss side.
What is the record for the fastest 45 minutes ever? Because I think we're just breaking that record right now, honestly. And unfortunately, that is the size of our package today on Sports Track right here on Dott TV. I am Anthony Uche, and I've had the pleasure of the company of Mr. Henry Osiayo and Mr. Jude Agbayeke with me in the studio. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have to go.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
Thank you. And stay tuned to Dott TV. Up next will be the news at 12. And after that, the entertainment and the information continues right here on Dott TV. Thank you once again for joining us. See you next time.